Is that your Chihuahua?
Yeah, it is.
All right. Go get your Chihuahua if you need to.
Yeah, go get your Chihuahua so we can all say hi.
So welcome everybody to the 31st, I think, Crypto Mining Tools podcast. And today we're here with Dustin and his Chihuahua and Ethan, our co-host.
Hi, everybody. Yeah.
Welcome, everybody.
Yeah. Dustin is right over here with his little Chihuahua. Now, Dustin, can you tell us what is your Chihuahua's name?
His name's Miles.
Miles. That's a great name. Wonderful.
4 pounds, but he's got the heart of a lion.
Wow. They all do. They all do. I should show you my little Chihuahua Bambi sometime. I was actually planning on having her make a guest appearance today. But she decided she wanted to stay under the covers because she's still cold. She's not ready to come out.
Oh man. Yeah. I've got a 100-pound Great Dane. She's 11 years old. So we're all dog lovers here.
Definitely.
Awesome. Nice. I bet your dog food bill's insane with that Great Dane, right?
She eats a lot. Yeah, they're like big 50-pound bags of food. Lasts a month.
Scott, you're not one of those guys that just sends her down in the basement and then just dumps the bag on the basement floor. This has really happened. I've seen people do this. I'm not going to mention any names or anything, but I had a guy that I was trying to help out, and we were running wire for a house. We were installing network hotspots, Wi-Fi hotspots throughout a really big house of a friend of mine. And on the way back, I just overheard he's got dogs and he hasn't had any dog food for a few days. So, immediately we pull into, the pet center, and I got, 2 big bags of dog food for him. And, I paid him for his day's work or whatever. And as I was helping him, carry the bags in, he's like, no, don't take it in the house. Just take it around back. And he opened up these cellar doors, and he's got these 2 beautiful pit, they're I guess adolescent pits or whatever, beautiful dogs. And he just rips off the top of one of the bags and just dumps it down in the basement. And I was like, okay. All righty.
That's one way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Dustin, we're talking to you today about crypto and mining, and we came across you because you had this website that you were working on. It sounds like it's fairly new.
It's about 2 years old, actually.
Okay,
almost 2 years old.
So you just finished
still fairly new in terms of
a revamp, then.
Yeah, I mean, I've been meaning to do that for a while. I started off, with a certain design, and then I really, as the traffic kind of went up, I said, well, I don't think I'm going to be able to scale this because, when you just want people to be able to easily access certain information. So I had to re-optimize the homepage so that if somebody's new, it's like, oh, I can go get this real quick and kind of get a beginner's guide to cryptocurrency. Because man, when I first started mining, I'm sure you've heard this before, the information was just all over the place. You would get a little tidbit from here, you would get a little tidbit from here, and it was all some of it was bad information. I spent $200 on my very first GPU mining rig frame because that's what my buddy told me I needed. Right. And it came with those little HP server power supplies, 1200 watt. You're going to burn up. And it's just because of a lack of experience. I didn't know any better, but sure. And so, what I've realized early on is that there's sites like Investopedia and certain other sites that really, they rank for a lot of number one for a lot of cryptocurrency mining terms, and they don't really provide any value as far as
absolutely.
They're just mining's not profitable. You should just buy Bitcoin. Here's my affiliate link to buy Bitcoin and talk. And then they just go on a tangent about buying Bitcoin. I'm like, well, how does that help the end user out? So, the issue with it is that, I've tried to over the years to outsource writing some of the content, and it's horrible because when you hire a writer, all they're going to do is research the top 3 or 4 articles. Well, if that data isn't correct
and regurgitate, they're not going to give any novel or new information.
Right. And so there's no really, experience from that. And so it kind of put me in a position where it's like I've had to, put together all this content myself. And believe it or not, Scott, you kind of know how that goes with the digital marketing stuff.
Absolutely.
It's time consuming to create these guides, because some of the stuff, it's just like, you can do it rather quickly, but it's like, how do you take something that sounds so technical and so complicated and break it down so that the vast majority of the public can digest it and understand it,
Yeah.
So I was going to ask you that, Dustin, what is your formula for the people out there who are new to this, that are just maybe curious, that really don't understand a lot of technical things? How do you break that down? What's your formula?
Well, I mean, if they're brand new to mining, honestly, I think, Scott, you've seen my Facebook group. A lot of times I just tell them, because when I first started mining, I actually downloaded MinerGate,
okay,
4 years ago. That is a horrible platform to download.
Right.
But
well,
I
listen
think,
to the name, right?
Right. And so, most people, I just say, hey, listen, if you're new to mining and you just want to get your feet wet, go ahead, download something like NiceHash or Cryptomining. I actually prefer Cryptomining over NiceHash, just because of NiceHash's past history, and their what was it, their CEO or something like that just got arrested for another criminal offense or something like that.
Oh,
but
dear. Yeah.
There was somebody along the lines of that. And so then that kind of gets their feet wet, right? And then from there, if they want to, maybe they want to invest some more money, and it's like, okay, well, why don't you learn how to build a gaming PC versus trying, because most people don't have the infrastructure to even run one ASIC miner at their house, especially with the S19s. I mean, you're just not going to plug one of those in your living room, and your wife is going to hate you for,
beyond hate.
Yeah. I mean, you can use it to dry her hair in the morning.
Unless she has low blood pressure and she's deaf. Because then the heat will keep her nice and warm, and the sound won't bother her. So,
but then, from there, if they just want to I try to entertain like the low budget miner, because I feel like that's where a lot of the market share and where my value comes from, is just showing people like, hey, you can start CPU mining coins and accumulating these. They're not going to be profitable right away, but you're only going to spend maybe $2 or $3 worth of electricity a month. You get to learn a new skill.
Right.
You get to accumulate, learn how to research projects, and then get your feet wet. I see so many people all the time. They're investing, hey, I got $10,000, $20,000, $30,000. I want to get into the market. How do I get in? It's like, start small. Like, don't overbuild yourself, because, if you're expecting, I think a lot of people, they get information and they think it's this big money making scheme where you're just going to be back there just printing money all the time. And that's not the case. I mean, it takes skill. You almost have to learn trading skills too, to be a successful miner, especially on the GPU mining level. Now, ASIC mining, if you got a 3-cent electric rate or anywhere in that range, even 5 cents, some of the guys I talked to in Vancouver, they got that hydropower at 5 cents on residential, which is like mind blowing to me that they have that. You got a lot more flexibility, but I think in the United States, the national average is somewhere around 12 to 13 cents.
Yeah.
And I work in the solar industry, so I'm constantly looking at, over the years, I've been looking at people's electric bills. So I know that the average rate is somewhere around in between 11 and 13 cents.
Sure. Yeah.
Current market structure, that's not going to work, especially if you plug in one of those S19s. I mean, imagine, what's your electric bill with one of those? Like $150 a month at a 12-cent rate, $200 a month.
Oh, it would be more than that.
Right.
Yeah. Cause I think that's what, I had like a 13 cent per kilowatt at my house.
I'll tell you what, Scott, we can look it up on our calculator.
Yeah, we could.
We can.
You
guys got a proprietary one?
Yeah, we do. Nice. I could look back at my own residential electrical bills and let you know.
I'm gonna figure it out right here, right now, guys. The S19 Pro 110 terahash. I'm gonna leave the power cost at 11 cents, and we'll go ahead and apply those filters.
Nice. S19.
Yeah.
What did you say? You're gonna leave it at 10 cents?
I did it at 11 cents.
11 cents. Okay.
Yeah, so your monthly electricity cost for one S19 would be $254.83.
Ooh.
$254.83.
Ooh.
$254.83. $254.83. $254.83. $254.83. $254.83. $254.83. $254.83. $254.83. $254.83. $254.83. $254.83. $254.83. $254.83. $254.83. $254.83. $254.83. $254.83. $254.83. $254.83. $254.83. $254.83. $254.83. $254.83. $254.83. $254.83. $254.83. $254.83. $254.83. $254.83. $254.83. $254.83. $254.83. $254.83. $254.83. $254.83. $254.83. $254.83. $254.83. $254.83. $254.83. $254.83. $254.83. $254.83. $254.83. $254.83. $254.83. $254.83. $254.83. $254.83. $254.83. $254.83. $254.83. $254.83. $254.83. $254.83. $254.
But I mean, here's the thing though, that I want to kind of back that up, because I think a lot of people were like, mining is not profitable, just buy Bitcoin. Well, guess what? Buying Bitcoin requires you to log into an exchange, KYC, stick your debit card in, pay all these fees. And then, I feel like a lot of people that just buy Bitcoin, they kind of get bored, and guess what they start doing? Their friends like, hey, buy this altcoin, buy that altcoin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And buying altcoins is like buying a scratch-off lottery ticket at the
gas station. Is it as good as that though?
It might be slightly better. You know what I mean? Yeah. Slightly better, but it's just, I see that there's advantages to mining cryptocurrency and using that as a vessel to buy cryptocurrency versus, because you could buy a couple graphics cards, start small, mine with those, and essentially you're quote unquote buying cryptocurrency in the form of electricity, right? Not paying exchange fees, you're not having to deal with that. And then if you grow it into a bigger business, you can write off certain things like your electricity, you can LLC it. Right. You're not going to get those tax benefits if you're just an average everyday hoodler, right?
Yeah, everybody has their own different reasons for getting into mining as opposed to just buying the Bitcoin. Yeah, and those are definitely some of those reasons.
Not to mention the fact that it's fun. You know what I mean? Like,
it's
fun. It is. Dustin, Brett has a question here. He says, any thoughts on staking some Ether or Ethereum?
Yeah, I got a lot of thoughts on that. Like, when is it going to happen? Is
that Ethereum 2.0 or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, they've been talking about this, forever now. And, I think that there's a lot of people out there, they've purchased their 32 ETH. But, I haven't been following the story with it for so long, but I know that, Vitalik has huge concerns about switching over to a full-blown security issues with proof of stake that he wants. I think that they're trying to get all those bugs worked out before they go full-blown proof of stake. So, if they do it, I'm going to be right along with everybody. I'm going to, I got my 32 ETH set aside, so I would definitely stake it. But like, the bigger question is asking Vitalik, like, when's it going to happen?
Now, Dustin, can you explain to our users the difference between proof of work and proof of stake?
Proof of stake. So yeah, I've butchered this explanation a couple times before, but essentially proof of work, you're using physical hardware to verify user transactions, right? And generate new blocks of whatever cryptocurrency. So you're basically forfeiting your hardware's calculation power in turn for verifying transactions and for a chance to earn rewards. Whereas proof of stake, you're essentially just putting up collateral of coins, right? You're buying a set amount of, sometimes they require a set amount of coins. You're putting those in a wallet. You're freezing those essentially so that you're not, you're structuring them in a way where you're not really wanting to spend them. And then based on the amount of tokens, it varies from coin to coin. There's some nuances there, right? But based on the amount of tokens you stake, you forfeit or put up as collateral is contingent upon, how much reward you earn that way as well. So, and, there's a lot of different factors like the coin's age, the amount, how it's structured and everything like that. So that's kind of like my 8th grade dumb version where you're just like sticking coins and, it's just, I don't really get it. You know what I mean? It's like, I just don't really see I do see some of the benefits from a green energy perspective. Like, a lot of people are kind of against proof of work, but I feel like you need that barrier of entry to keep, because if you look at the coin market cap, look at the data, how many proof of work coins are in the top 20 and how many proof of stake coins are in the top 20.
This is true. This is true.
There's something to be said about proof of work that you just can't beat with proof of stake as of this, it sounds great in theory, right? But you just can't beat it. You got Bitcoin, you got Ethereum, XRP doesn't count. You got Bitcoin Cash.
Why doesn't Ripple count? Just I want to get your thoughts.
I don't know. Everybody's starting to kind of like and love XRP, but a few years back, everybody's like, that's not a cryptocurrency.
Right. What are your thoughts on Bitcoin Cash, BCH?
You know, I haven't really been following. Where are we at on price on Bitcoin Cash, really?
We're at like
$241?
Yeah, 241.
I mean,
so Roger Ver stepped down. There's been a big shakeup.
Really?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, that's what I read on Cointelegraph.
What is this new news or?
Yeah, it happened maybe a week or two ago, within the past 2 weeks.
I mean, I feel like he's kind of a little bit of a hothead basket case. Like he was like yelling at people on social media,
right?
And it's like when you put yourself as that high level of a figure for the community, you can't be yelling at people, flipping them off, and cussing them out.
Like you gotta hold yourself together a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. And so, like, I mean, it's kind of a saga. And like I said, I don't really invest. When I invest in a coin, I kind of look at the people behind it. And so if I don't really, resonate with
sure.
I can't invest in that because, that person's the driving force behind that project. So, so yeah, that's my thoughts on Bitcoin Cash. Really, in a nutshell.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
What about you guys? Are you guys predominantly just into ASIC mining, or do you do any GPU mining?
Yeah, I mean, some of our partners do GPU, but we got into it ourselves. Just started with ASICs.
Yes.
So that's for the most part what we have known. Mostly Bitcoin. I do some Zcash.
Yeah.
Little bit of Ethereum ASIC mining myself.
Yeah.
But yeah.
They still how's the ASIC mining going for Ethereum? I know for a while there was a few versions of ASIC miners that kind of got knocked off the network when that DAG file finally caught up to them. But did they ever get like a firmware patch fix for that or anything?
I'm not sure, but I know that I do have the Silicon A10 Pro. That's what's actually running in my basement right now, and that's working just fine. And the
keeping the house warm.
Yeah, not too warm though. But the difficulty has been fairly steady for the last little while. I'd actually have to look it up, but yeah. So I've seen it going up and down, but it seems okay for now.
Well, and let me. So, how long have you been into the cryptocurrency mining space, Scott? If you don't mind me asking, have you been in it for a while? Like
only since the end of 2017.
Yeah,
the end of 2017. Because
I
always like to ask people, and I've been kind of trying to go back through the data and look at the blog articles, but we did have a mining bear market. When did it start? In 2013, 2014 or something like that? I can't remember exactly, but when I think it was when the script ASIC coin miners came out and they kind of destroyed the profitability on Litecoin for a lot of GPU miners. And so what I'm trying to figure out is, we can look on a chart and see how many days Bitcoin was in a bear market, but there's no chart or data to see how many days mining as a whole was in a bear market. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to figure that out. What's the calculation was, what hardware went unprofitable and then what hardware kind of went back into profits. Cause I think that even some of like the R9s and stuff like that became profitable again for people to use in 2017. So,
right. And I don't know, some websites out there, they have historical charts of profitability, but some of them only go like the last 90 days. But yeah, I think information like that would be really interesting to have on hand.
And just so you can get a fractal of like, okay, because we can measure on a chart. It was 580 some odd days after the halving before Bitcoin hit an all-time high. We can measure that, on a chart because the data's there. But there's not a whole lot of data information about that. I'm sure that there's people that have personal information in spreadsheets out there. They almost has to be, but there's not a website to really track it or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, we could overlay some charts, like the price of Bitcoin, the difficulty, and then we could also go back and say, well, what was the price to purchase a miner at that time, or what were people selling the miners for?
I remember seeing a chart like that. Somebody took a trading view chart of the last bull run and they kind of sectioned it all out and and kind of hit all the milestones. Like this
Right.
is when the S7 was released. This is when the S9 was released. And then they gave like profit, you know, per day, you know, from that release point, and then how it dwindled with the difficulty. I remember seeing a really cool chart like that. I should have saved that, but I don't think I could have saved it. But
it would be interesting to do something like an interactive version of that, and not just
it
like
was like a timeline. Yeah, it was really cool.
Or just like I did what you were saying, Scott. I went back through and got a difficulty chart, downloaded it from a CSV file, and I went back through with Crypto Compare, found out the release date of the S9 or the S9, you know, factored in electricity cost, and did it on a month-to-month basis. And based on my calculations, that S9 was almost profitable at a 12 cent rate for almost the better part of 2 years. And so that's kind of why I always ask people, just to kind of track and see, you know, how long, because you can kind of create weighted averages off that and say, okay, if I get an ASIC miner when it first comes out, I got a year and a half on average to get my money back out of that machine. Right.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And I always like to ask people too. So what are you guys' thoughts or predictions on, you know, because there's a lot of people that say, hey, mining's not going to return back to what it was. I'm on the other side of the fence. I think that mining's going to come back strong again. But I didn't know what your guys' thoughts or your philosophy was on it, or, you know, if you had any kind of insight that you've been talking with people and stuff like that, you know, obviously not financial advice, but, you know.
Yeah, no, we've been seeing a lot of more institutional mining, you know, industrial size mining. But, you know, honestly, if it's profitable, if it's profitable, or I mean, if the price of Bitcoin goes up for a period of time, and the difficulty doesn't go up with it, yeah, people are going to be mining at home no matter what, you know. But they're going to be buying these things for $3,000, $6,000 a pop, right? So
I mean, you're always going to find that one guy who's a real estate investor, and he thinks he knows everything about everything because he's flipped, you know, 200 houses, and he's going to be like, you know, this thing only costs $6,000, and I can run it in the basement. It'll keep my pipes from freezing. And like, he'll figure out crazy, you know, other benefits that it can do for him, you know. And yeah, there's always going to be those guys. Always.
Well, and that's kind of what I tell people right now. It's like, if you're going to look at don't get into mining when the bull market kicks in, and then you pay.
That's what I tell everybody.
3 or 4 times the amount of, you know, because the hardware cost, you know, it fluctuates with the market.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you can watch an S9 on eBay go from $80 to $400 in a blink of an eye if Bitcoin goes up and that miner
back in the last boom. I think I was seeing S3s going for $1,100.
S3s.
Yes, S3s were going for $1,100 back in 2007. Well, I was desperate to buy a mine. I was like one of those crazy real estate guys.
I think maybe S7s.
No. When the S7s sold out, the S3s were going for the S7s were going for like 2,500.
No way.
Do you guys foresee anything on the horizon with as far as ASIC development? Do you think that the S19 is going to be the flagship miner going into the bull market, kind of like the S9 was? Or
it's definitely going to be the next, you know, bread and butter machine.
But you know, I think we've seen a lot of people getting a little bit leery about Bitmain's miners because
the S17s have had a lot of manufacturing issues.
Yeah.
And so people don't really know yet if the S19s are going to be the same, you know, but there were people saying that the S17 Plus at least had anywhere between like a 10% to 30% failure rate. And I know specifically one of my clients who bought over 1,000 of these S17 Pluses, and now it's been a few months that they've had them plugged in. They're sending back at least 350 of them.
Yeah,
already. Yeah.
It was more than a 30% failure rate.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've heard. You know,
people are looking for alternatives. Maybe in a silicon, maybe WhatsMiner.
Yeah, WhatsMiner and NoSilicon is getting a lot of buzz right now because of the bad publicity that Bitmain has gotten over the S17s. Here we go. Brett says we're replacing all of our S9s with S19s. in commercial space, and many new micro BT M30s and Avalon 1066s, much more efficient machines for sure. We'll see it. We'll see on ROI on these boxes. My guess is 2 to 4 years. We will do well.
Yeah.
And Brett also confirms that S17s have like a 30% failure rate.
Yeah, that is. I can't believe that. I mean, it's kind of unacceptable, you know.
Yeah, and it's pretty difficult right now for some miners because it's really hard to get them repaired.
Yeah, production is down. They don't have spare parts. They're
COVID.
not. COVID has shut down all production and all spare parts, and nobody can get the latest generation miners. Even the S17s are kind of sparse and hard to get a hold of. You know, if you're willing to take the risk with the defect rate.
It's an interesting time we're in right now because in 2017 we saw that bull market, and then all of a sudden the manufacturers were out 3 months. You had to pre-order, and then it was 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
And then the price of the miners started going up. We're kind of seeing that right now. It's not really a big deal because I think people are used to kind of waiting a little longer now. But I think the S19 is out to September now.
I got room at my house to run 2 of those. That's the infrastructure I got right now. But like, I'm just kind of patiently waiting, and I'm like, is this the one that I invest in, or do they have like a 5 nanometer chipset that's going to come out and blow the doors off this one? Or maybe they're already mining with the 5 nanometer chipset. Who knows? The ASIC arena is such a mixed bag of emotions because, you got all these altcoin, ASIC miners coming out. Ethan, I heard your story about buying the D3, and everybody bought that D3 and it fought so hard. I mean, unbelievable, And that's why I try to, tell people. They're like, well, what do you think about this miner? What do you think about that miner? And I'm just like, I think that you should buy some graphics cards first and stick with those before you just invest in some random Joe Schmo, ASIC. I think that the Ethereum ASIC miners, you're good to go, right? As long as you get a good one. But some of these other ones, it's kind of like buying an altcoin. It's just a lottery ticket. You don't know, what you're going to get.
This much I do know about the technology, Dustin, is that the smaller, even if we get to smaller and smaller processes, so let's just say from 10 nanometer to 5 nanometer, we're not going to get a full doubling. We're not even going to get close to a doubling because the law of physics start creating a lot of issues. Electrons start quantum tunneling and jumping between the channels of the circuitry and things like that. So in reality, even if we go from like a 5 nanometer process to a 3 nanometer process, we're probably looking at somewhere between 8 to 10% gain improvement. So, with that knowledge that I have, unless, they come up with some new manufacturing technique or a novel material or whatever, go ahead and get the S19s, because if they make an S21, it's not, you're only looking at an 8 to 10% difference. Beyond that, you're probably looking at double the price for an 8 to, it's the same thing like when you build computers, right? So you've got, the Titan graphics card, right? And then you've got, the 2080 or whatever Titan. And then below that, you have like maybe a 2070 or something like that. And the 2070 costs, I don't know, $600-700. Yeah. But the 2080, I mean, those things are like $1,200-1,400. But when you look at the specs, when you compare them head to head, I mean, there's a slightly marginal difference in performance.
Right.
And so it's the same thing with the S19s. I don't think they're going to build future generation miners. That's absolutely going to happen. I don't think the newer technology is going to be significantly greater than the best that they've got out here with the S19s. And that's just my take on it.
Hey, Ethan, why don't you quick tell us a little bit about our hosting directory that we have here?
Yeah, let me see what we got going on.
Yeah, so it's kind of a big issue now because, just like you were saying, Dustin, that, your residential power, it's just not up to the task. It'll do GPUs. You can run quite a few GPU rigs off of residential power, But these latest generation miners, they are so power hungry. You need to have a good place to keep them. You need to have them in a purposely built facility. And that's what our directory helps you guys find. And it's not just for one type of person. So if you're a complete noob and you don't want to even touch the miners, you don't know how to turn them on, you don't know what to do, we have fully managed hosting options. If you're an experienced seasoned miner and maybe you have existing containers and you're just looking for cheap power to move your containers around to, we have co-location. And if you're looking to just like do like a full, custom build out and maybe a 10-year power purchase agreement and use natural resources on land, we even have that available on our website. So, if you're out there and you're listening and you're a really seasoned miner, don't think that we're just trying to connect the new guy with a fully managed hosting situation. And if you have any of these power options available that you would like to be listed in the directory, contact me and Scott. We'll be happy to put you guys onto our directory. But that being said, it's very easy to use. If you're looking for fully managed hosting, we have a system there that will calculate or estimate for you what your power usage or your power demand will be. And then from there, you can go through and you can filter parameters based off of, your location or the price you want to pay, or even just the features of the facility you want to use.
Yeah.
Nice.
So this is something that we launched recently, and we're adding to it every day. But we just wanted to.
Now, is that for hosting, or is that for also, can they get hardware through you and then host it as well? Like,
absolutely. So you can
work?
Use our calculator to figure out which miner is the best for you. You can then compare that miner to other miners to make sure you're getting the ideal decision for yourself. And then after that, you can go to our shop. You can find that miner and you can buy it. And after you buy it, you can then go to our directory. You can find hosting for it and have it hosted. So you can literally get into this entire industry just through our website. You don't need to visit 20 different websites. Yeah. You don't need to do a ton of crazy research and reading about this. You can get all the facts that you need right there easily and conveniently in one simple place.
Yep. And so, for example, what I've been doing, and I think we need to make just a regular tool out of this and take this part of the website I was telling you, Ethan, and just like say, hey,
I finally designed something Scott likes.
Yeah. So I hear people say, well, okay, I have 200 kilowatts of power that I can consume. What should I buy? So you can actually go into our directory and look here and just use this as a way to figure out how many watts you can use up. So I put in
how many miners use how much power.
Yeah. So the S17 Pro 53 terahash model, if you get 100 of those, they consume around 2,000 something.
You're going to use somewhere, close to 0.2 of a megawatt. You know, usually these facilities, tend to give us all these power things like, I've got 5 megawatts or I've got 10 megawatts and I can expand to another 10, So this is really helpful for us to be able to tell them like, okay, this is a, half a megawatt deal, or, this is a 1/10 of a megawatt. So they have an idea of how much of their infrastructure is going to be used.
Yeah.
But you're right, Scott, it is very handy. And you can mix and match. Don't forget that.
Right.
You can mix and match miners. So let's say you want to put half into the S19s, half into the, the S17s or whatever, and it'll calculate all that power demand for all those different varieties.
Yeah.
And if we don't have the miner listed, you can actually add a custom value. So
wow, tell me more.
Yeah. All right. So we've kind of thought of everything with this.
This is amazing, man. This is you guys have really put some thought behind this one. I ran into the website, I seen the calculator and it I didn't really know how to work it or what was going on there. But now that looking back on it, I'm like, this is it just makes I think it makes it really easy for people because there is cheap consumable power available. Just people don't know how to access that, right? They don't know how to negotiate that. They don't know who to talk to or whatever. Right. And so if you can facilitate that, obviously, there's got to be some money that goes back to the church for facilitating that, but do it in such a way that it's not like a scammy Genesis cloud mining contract.
Oh, no.
Where there's maintenance fees or, Bit Club Network, just, the longest Ponzi scheme ever just collapsed. you know, I could see the benefit in doing something like this and still be able to make some money. Whereas most people, they're like, what about this cloud mining contract? What about that cloud mining contract? And I'm like, you need to stay away from all anything that has like the cloud mining kind of word in it. Like, just be very cautious about it. But
absolutely,
you know, this
there we go. Ethan, we need to add another category there. Cloud mining.
Cloud mining.
No, never mind.
Cloud mining directory.
So our thought process behind this, Dustin, is that we want to create a marketplace, and in this market, it's going to breed competition, and so it's going to be win-win for everybody. So it's going to help the industry itself, you know, be a survival of the fittest. It's going to help the end user because there's going to be competition in the market. And these cloud mining places, I mean, you know, there's only 3 or 4, and there's not really any competition or anything with that. And so, you know, even with our online shop, if you look up like 1S9, you'll see that there are 10 different brokers selling that, and they're all, you know, competing with different prices. And we've made the back end of the website to where the broker can log in and they can see who their competition is, and they can start, you know, to strategically place themselves to where they'll generate more sales. So it's going to be really interesting once this really gets traction and takes off, you know, how well the industry will, you know, accept what we're doing, and, you know, if the competition will make a better situation overall for the industry. And we're hoping that it will.
Yeah, that's you know, like I said, it's pretty interesting because, you know, I think that, you know, as far as like Bitcoin mining, like my biggest concern with Bitcoin mining specifically is that it's been, you know, kind of centralized to these large mining pools over in China. And so that's kind of been a thing for me for a while. And it's like, you know, where's the future go for Bitcoin mining? Is it just going to, you know, fall to the lowest denominator? And like, you know, there's some place that's got a 0.5 cent electric rate over in China, and that's where all the hardware is going to fall. Right. But like, you know, if we can create platforms like this where people can kind of crowdfund and plug into that and invest put their money into that, then it kind of breaks up the equals out the playing field and
absolutely
makes Bitcoin mining. I almost said Bitcoin because I call it corn all the time, but Bitcoin mining.
That's right.
Yeah, but it kind of decentralizes it because, like I said, that has been a concern of mine. Is like, are we becoming centralized? Is it becoming way too industrialized? Where I don't think that was really Satoshi's vision or plan for Bitcoin. You know, so that's why I've kind of pulled away from it from a little bit. You know, don't get me wrong. I love ASIC mining. There's nothing better than just buying a pre-built miner. It just works. You just plug it in. You know, GPU mining, be ready for lots of late nights banging your head against the wall, trying to mine some one-off.
Lots of reboots.
Hundreds of them, you know. But yeah, I mean, that kind of, you know, that makes it great that there's a marketplace for that. So I'd be interested to see, you know, I'd be interested in doing some promotion for that. Yeah. It's pretty cool.
So Dustin, where do you hang out most? Like,
how can our audience reach out to you?
Telegram, Twitter, Facebook?
Yeah, so most of my, you know, you guys can typically find me in the Crypto Miner Tips Facebook group. You know, I know a lot of people I do have a Discord, but I'm rarely ever in that Discord. You know, I'm always checking, you know, for family and friends and stuff on Facebook. So I can catch a notification in my Facebook group. That's probably the easiest way to get a hold of me. Okay. And then also too, but if people do want to reach out and just kind of ask me some questions about mining, I don't have a link for it, but if you just look up the Coin Genius, I'm partnered with Coin Genius. They're like a big data widget company. They're coming out with all these different widgets. And so I am part of their Discord community too, as well. And, you know, they got, you know, the different quants and stuff. Coin Genius AI. Yeah. And so, pretty cool company. You can find me in their I hang out more in their Discord than I do my own. So those are the two places that you could typically find me. And, you know, I always try to help anybody out I can. I know some people, they charge for consultations and stuff like that. As long as they don't beat me up too bad and keep me on the phone for 3 hours, I'll talk to you, you know, for a half hour and give you all the information that I know, about, you know, about mining in general. So, you know, I think that's kind of what the space needs. And, you know, I just like to help people out as much as I can. That's why I built the site to kind of, because I was so upset at Forbes and Investopedia for, I just don't feel like they deserve the #1 spot on Google for some of the stuff that they've gotten, because it just doesn't provide any real value to the users. So if it's one thing I do before I die, I'm going to get that #1 spot from Investopedia.
for what term though?
Bitcoin mining. I'm going to take it.
Oh man.
Yeah. I got a long uphill battle. I got a lot of, you know, hurdles to cross before I get there, but
well, maybe we can work together.
Yeah,
on
definitely. Scott and I can help you out with that.
we should maybe talk after this, after we go offline. But well, Dustin, thanks for coming on our podcast and for sharing your knowledge with us. It was great talking with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks a lot, Dustin. I appreciate it.
Thank you. We'll see you guys.
Bye, everybody. See ya.